Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to Dr.Monkey, where we laugh together and cry together, but hopefully take something away to treat each other a little better. Here's some interesting stories, one of them about a cowardly father, stepmom, and stepbrother who took unjust revenge against OP. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you'll enjoy it. 'Twas the best of flights, 'twas the worst of flights. I had gone to America to spend Thanksgiving with my partner's parents. A long story cut short. There was some visa issues we were notified about at check-in, not by the airline, which meant she had to stay behind in America. This blindsided us both, and we were told it could be up to 6 to 12 months before we could see each other again. Needless to say, I was not in the best state, and I'm also disabled. I get through TSA, but I am such a mess that they have to help me through it while I'm trying to calm me down. And at the same time, I'm now violently tearing up, feeling shame at not having more restraint. I got to the gate and find that all the seats are full, and some people are sitting on the ground because it's going to be 90 minutes before boarding. It should be noted here that I have a fold-up cane. I don't like using it, but if I'm going to stand for long periods of time, I get it out. Anyway, I noticed that a couple of seats next to two kids playing on the floor has bags on it, essentially taking up an entire row. I make my way over. No, I do have a visible limp and still trying to control my crying, and ask the woman if I can sit in one of the seats, and she says no, because my kids are sitting there. I apologize and make my way over to the wall and lean against it and get my cane out. 15 minutes goes by and one of the airline staff at the gate keeps looking up at me. She was great. She told people trying to board before their section was called to sit the heck down. She gets up, talks to the woman, then comes over to me and says, "I'm so sorry to ask this, darling, but I can make that lady over there give up one of those seats, but she claims you didn't walk with a limp or use that cane till after you asked. Can I ask just what your disability is? I'm so sorry." I explain I can't show without taking my pants off, but I give her permission to feel my thigh, which has a massive chunk removed from a combat-related injury. She thanks me and says sorry again, then makes the woman give up one of her seats for me. After a few moments, the woman is ticked. She snaps at the father to wait there with the kids and storms off somewhere. A couple minutes later, she comes back with airport security. They tell me to get up to have a talk because she claims I made threats against her kids. Now, we're all sitting right by the gate desk, so the same lady shuts this down as soon as she can and says I was in an inconsolable state when I arrived, and the woman is just mad that she had to give up a seat and that she's not seen me even speak a word to the couple, other than just ask to sit down. The gate worker asks the guards to stay for a bit while she makes a call. The woman goes and makes the call, then comes back over to inform the family that they are no longer welcome on the airline and that she will not be traveling with us this evening. Scenes happen and the family is escorted away. I compose myself to board the plane. I show them my ticket on the plane and she says, "Oh, you're the gentleman that was harassed. We can't upgrade your seat, but we have decided to move you to a whole row by yourself." By this point, I've calmed down, but as soon as the plane starts taxiing, all heck breaks loose again. At this point, I have no control, and I'm pushing the pillow into my face to stop the noise. The flight attendants incorrectly think this is because of the incident. I explain why I'm actually crying, and they get me an extra blanket and some other bits and pieces later on, like extra hot food and a free scotch to try and help me sleep. Actually, no, I wasn't going to say the airline, but they deserve it, so I want to give a huge shout out to Air New Zealand. You've done me right for over 10 years, and you truly went above and beyond during the worst 16 and a half hours of my life. What is wrong with people these days that people can see someone in need, but choose to ignore them instead? I'm not speaking about the entitled mother. We'll get to her soon enough. But what about everyone else there waiting for that flight? OP had already stated it was crowded. Why wouldn't anyone else get up and offer OP their seat? Are we truly forgetting our humanity? Do you think you would have offered up your seat? As for the entitled mother, any clue as to why she believes she's better than everyone else? Would you have allowed OP to sit and either given up your seat to one of your children, or maybe even put one of your kids in your lap? What other options might the entitled mother have had? Personally, I believe OP is a true hero. First, they were injured in combat. Some may disagree with that, but they aren't the ones fighting on the front lines, are they? Second, instead of getting into an argument, OP respected the entitled mother, which probably upset her more than anything. Just a thought, especially given her reaction after OP was given the seat. What do you think? Hidden scandals. I'm moving out right now. I'm going to live with a friend of mine and hopefully never see my family again. For years, I've lived in an abusive environment without ever talking about this, not even to my biological mother. She was the only person I could reach out to, but lives far away and is happy, so I didn't want to burst into her life again after what my father did to her. I've been living with the burden of being a disgusting human being and deserving all that happened to me, that I didn't consider as abuse, but more like a well-deserved punishment. Only recently did I open up about a small issue anonymously online, and I think I'm addicted to it. I want to share more and more and more. No one will ever know it's me, so I spill all the tea without worrying, and even if someone finds this, I don't care if it's a member of my ex-family. Then you can just go pound sand. I was accused of helping my father hide the fact that he was cheating on his new wife. It's so hard to prove that it wasn't like that at all. How can I prove this when his new wife was participating in framing me? All that to seem like a good, respectable woman to her family and not to admit that they were in an open relationship. I can't believe how stupid I've been for years now, blaming myself for what happened. Looking back now, I think I'll never recover from what happened, but I didn't even realize it was happening. My father, I'll now call him F, fill in the blank, used me like a scapegoat. No, even better, a punching bag. And it was all planned. My stepmother, SM, as for sadistic idiot, pretend to be my victim, and my stepbrother, SB, as for sly idiot, was her accomplice, when I just thought he was the golden child. And that's why we were treated differently. For years I thought that I had betrayed them and hurt them, but I was just their toy. I can't explain the level of acting displayed. I don't think anyone would really believe me. Maybe I'm just insane. Honestly, I don't even know because they guilt-tripped me into never seeking therapy or mental help. I regret not clinging to my mother and begging her to take me away from there when I was a kid. I regret it every single day I live in their house. I think I need to explain it better. I don't think anyone will understand anything from the rant I've been on. My mother and father were married when he told me, a 9-year-old at the time, that I had a brother and asked me to keep it a secret. He took me to SM's house to meet him and build a relationship with him. I went home and told my mother because I didn't feel like hiding anything from her. My mother confronted him, and when she found out, of course she was devastated. She left him and never let him contact her again. My father, F, literally beat the tarnations out of me and said that I broke our family. He kept doing it, pushing, hitting me, and giving me deadly glares until SM moved in with SB. I was a kid back then and never told anyone what happened, so I have no proof. But I remember, I swear, I remember all of that. Honestly, I wish it left a scar or something, but no, I have nothing to prove it. I have nothing to prove anything I say. Nothing. No evidence. Nothing. I wish I could just take a USB, shove it in my head, and put the memories inside of it. I swear, nothing of what I'm saying can be proven. I digress too much, so I'll make it short. When I was a teenager around 15, he took me out for some father-son time, and separately took SB too. When with me, He'd take me to a woman's house where they had fun in the next room, while I tried not to hear anything. I won't go into details on how it affected me so much. I can't have a relationship with anyone until today. He took his beloved son, SB, to the movies, to the park, etc., while I was there having my sanity stolen from me. He threatened me not to say anything to SM. Now I know how pathetic it sounds, but I was scared of him. Just a glare and I was like an obedient dog. He said that if I didn't want to destroy this family too, I'd keep my mouth shut. And for a long time, I tried to force myself to tell SM. I was waiting for him not to be home and to tell her. But I'm a coward, and yes, I deserve all the insults you'll give me in the comments. I didn't say anything. I was scared of what would happen if this woman left too. She soon found out when I was 15 or 16, and she started to abuse me too. I'm calling this abuse now, but back then it was a well-deserved punishment to me. Not like my father, she never physically hurt me, but she'd never buy me food to eat outside or forgot to give me money for school snacks. She told all her family, including the only grandparents I ever had, that their step-grandson hid the fact that she was being cheated on and helped his father. She made SB hate me when I really loved him more than anyone. I really was close to him, and he was my only happiness, and he also became my abuser. My grandparents never bought any gifts for me, glared at me, never spoke to me normally after that. My aunts, the same. I lost everything. The reality was, her sister somehow found out he was seeing other women and told their parents. Not to look bad in front of traditional family, they made up the excuse that it happened only a few times, and because I helped F cover the thing, otherwise, of course, their pure and innocent daughter would have been against it. I only realize now, after all the mess and self-blame, that they never argued about it. Their relationship never was affected, and that until this day, they preserve that innocent facade in front of F's in-laws while I live surrounded by people who hate me. I always thought it was unfair for my father to be so easily forgiven, while I was still pestered, and it only clicked now, when I finally realized they were both in an open relationship, and my SB knew about it too, even if younger than me. He had known it before me. They mentioned it, though not explicitly right in front of him, but in the heat of a conversation, and he didn't budge. I feel like such an idiot. It's easy for any one of us to sit here and say, I do this, I do that. Allow me to point out, we can do this because we were raised properly in a loving environment. There may be some who disagree, but unless you're among those who've gone through a similar upbringing, none of us have the right to claim we can relate. OP was raised in an oppressive environment, taught to believe the problems with the family were his fault. He was never taught how to be anything other than a punching bag, after being blamed by the father for the breakup of the first family. Obviously, father has betrayed his son, and clearly holds OP responsible for his own actions. Knowing how this father is, do you think he's perfectly honest with the second family? Why would he take his son out on a hookup? What do you think the grandparents were told so they would hate OP as well? Update. For the past few days, I've been living with my friend, who allowed me to stay in his house after I left home. What had piled up for years finally snapped when I realized that my father, F, stepmother, SM, and stepbrother, SB, have been abusing me for years, for no reason. I thought I deserved it, but I was framed to think like that. There was no reason at all. I talked about it in my last post. It's a little long, so I can't explain it all here. Getting away is more complicated than I thought. I've been treated like a worthless, lowly person. Now that I've been away, all the things I refused to notice resurfaced. I sometimes have this weird reaction when I suddenly remember something and bite myself out of embarrassment. I remember times when I was left alone while they left me for a family time together. All the times my SB and F went to spend time together, and came back with good memories and souvenirs. I remember all the times SM hugged SB and showed him love while she glared at me a few moments ago. All the times when at the restaurant they'd order something for me just to take and try the food and give me their remains. How I never got the same types of presents as them, or had to sit with all the luggage that couldn't be put anywhere, piled up between my legs and on my lap in the car. All the times my stepfamily made me wash the dishes and serve them on gatherings when they never asked other guys the same. I remember how when they first met me, SB, SM treated me well and got me attached to them. But as soon as my father got abusive with me, they did the same. The thing is, it happened gradually and slowly. I got to really love them in the meantime. It's so painful. I can't express how painful this is. I really loved them, especially SB. I loved him so much. So much I wanted to share everything with him. It felt easy to decide to leave at the heat of the moment when I learned they framed me and got angry. But now, I had to go back there to take a few documents F is keeping, and met them again. They all seemed like normal people, not monsters. So much so I asked myself if I was overreacting for a second. They all acted like I was weird for leaving without telling anything, and wanted to know why I'm asking for my passport. I went there because I didn't want to spend all my money on new documents. F asked me to talk things over. He asked me where I was planning to go, and I didn't say anything, but he must have had an idea. My mom is living far away. I want to fly to her for the holidays. Where else would I go? So he knows. F probably thinks I'm gonna tell her how I was treated. He secretly made sure I always showed a happy facade to my mother, and on SM. And now he's probably panicked. He beat me when I was a kid, and it's a secret between the two of us. He wants to keep his perfect image, so being accused of domestic violence is not gonna do it for him. I don't plan to tell anyone about what happened. I don't even want to tell Mom anything at all, not to worry her, but he's seriously worried. I've never disobeyed him like this. It's the first time I'm behaving like this. He must think I'm thinking of revenge or something because he asked SB where I could be, and called my friend's parents to know if I was here. He came and started insisting that I go back. Where I live, even if I'm 19, parents still are an authority for people, so I didn't want to create a scandal in my parents' house after everything they'd done for me. I said that I would go home tomorrow, and he left. I don't know. Maybe I will have to go back. I can't call the cops over abuse because it's 3 people against me, plus all SM's relatives, plus all my official SM posts contradicting it. I'm going to be called a liar. I know how these things work when you have no proof, like me. I'll just make things more complicated. Maybe I'll quietly go there and wait until the holidays come. Then I'll have more time to think of a plan. I felt so free and happy for a while. And still, except for anonymous posts, I can't talk about this to anyone. I tried. I can't. I've received great support on here, and I'm so very thankful for it. And it's really helpful, so thank you very, very much. I at least don't feel like I'm the villain in the story of my life, and I don't hate myself anymore, so I won't be as toxic as before. I'm going back, but not without the intention of leaving for good. I just hope my plan works. I don't know about you, but that is not the ending I was looking for. OP is really conflicted and I worry for him. Could OP returning to that home lead to suicide? Personally, I'm really rooting for OP here. I hope OP finds a way to get out. I hope OP finds a way to get out of that home before something serious happens. What do you think OP could do to help himself get out of this situation? I really wonder why Mom didn't take OP with her. Would life with Mom really have been better for OP since she left him to begin with? Well guys, that's all for today. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm going to link it right here. The story is about a crazy lady who is screaming at the top of her lungs to call the cops on OP. because he threatened her and her children. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you next time on Dr. Monkey.